The European Union is currently grappling with an unprecedented energy crisis in 2025, sparked by a combination of geopolitical tensions and economic challenges. This crisis traces its origins to Ukraine's decision not to extend its gas transit agreement with Russia, effectively halting the flow of Russian gas into Europe. The situation worsened as Qatar warned of potential halts in its liquefied natural gas (LNG) exports to the EU due to regulatory disputes. At the same time, escalating trade tensions with the United States pressured Europe to increase its imports of American LNG, adding further complexity. Another significant development has been the sudden disruption of gas supplies from Aeran, a vital energy provider for countries in Eastern Europe, including Serbia and Bulgaria. Aeran's abrupt cessation of gas deliveries has only intensified the strain on the region's already vulnerable energy infrastructure. These interconnected crises now pose a critical threat to Europe's energy stability, risking both economic competitiveness and security. On January 11, 2025, Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić announced that Aeran had suspended gas shipments to Serbia, citing force majeure, a term typically used to describe unexpected events like natural disasters or technical failures that prevent a party from meeting contractual obligations. Serbia, which relies on 1.7 million cubic meters of gas from Aeran each day, has seen its energy supply severely affected. Despite efforts to diversify its energy sources, such as the 2023 agreement with Azerbaijan to import 400 million cubic meters of gas annually, Serbia remains highly dependent on Russian gas. This latest disruption underscores the importance of the nation's gas reserves, which are now being tapped to fill the gap. However, the timeline for resuming Aeran's deliveries remains uncertain. Serbia's annual gas consumption exceeds 3 billion cubic meters, which is primarily used for heating, electricity generation, and industrial processes. The interruption in Azerbaijani gas supplies, which began in January 2024, highlights how dependent the region still is on a few key suppliers. The situation reinforces the urgent need for a diversified and resilient energy infrastructure to ensure long-term energy security. Meanwhile, Bulgaria has also been affected by a suspension of Azerbaijani gas deliveries, which lasted from January 7 to 11, 2025, due to technical issues. This disruption coincided with a halt in operations at the Shad Deniz Alpha platform in Aeran, a major gas source in the Caspian Sea region. BP, which operates Shad Deniz, temporarily stopped production after detecting a fault in the subsea gas export pipeline. Though the full details of the technical issue have not been disclosed, the incident underscores the inherent risks of managing subsea gas production. Bulgaria, which consumes around 3 billion cubic meters of natural gas annually, took steps to reduce its reliance on Russian energy after the 2022 cessation of Russian gas deliveries due to the conflict in Ukraine. In addition to securing a long-term gas supply agreement with Azerbaijan, Bulgaria has also focused on increasing its LNG imports, particularly through terminals in Greece, which are key to its energy diversification strategy. While the recent disruption in Azerbaijani supply has tested Bulgaria's energy security, the country's diversified approach has provided a buffer, helping mitigate some of the immediate impacts. However, this event serves as a stark reminder of the vulnerabilities associated with relying on a limited number of suppliers. Aeran has become a crucial player in the EU's broader strategy to reduce dependence on Russian gas. With its well-established pipeline infrastructure and long-term agreements, Aeran has positioned itself as a key partner in addressing Europe's energy demands. The Southern Gas Corridor, a major pipeline network transporting Azerbaijani gas to Europe, plays a central role in this relationship. However, the recent technical issues and geopolitical challenges have exposed the fragility of these supply chains and their impact on Europe's energy security. The Southern Gas Corridor is a monumental infrastructure project designed to deliver natural gas from Azerbaijan's Shad Deniz gas field in the Caspian Sea to European markets. It consists of three major pipelines: the South Caucasus Pipeline, the Trans-Anatolian Natural Gas Pipeline, TANAP, and the Trans-Adriatic Pipeline, TAP. This extensive network spans thousands of kilometers and crosses several borders to ensure gas reaches the EU. The journey begins with the South Caucasus Pipeline, which runs from Baku, Azerbaijan, through Georgia to Turkey. From there, gas flows through TANAP, which spans the length of Turkey and enters Greece. Finally, TAP transports the gas through Greece, Albania, and under the Adriatic Sea to Italy. The Southern Gas Corridor not only strengthens Azerbaijan's role as a key energy partner for the EU, but also highlights the European Union's broader push to diversify its energy imports, reducing its reliance on Russian energy sources. As Europe navigates this energy crisis, the fragility of its supply chains and the need for alternative energy sources have never been more apparent. The TANAP pipeline, a key piece of infrastructure in the southern gas corridor, had transported over 73.5 billion cubic meters of natural gas by the end of 2024. Similarly, the TAP pipeline, operational since late 2020, has delivered more than 40 billion cubic meters of gas to Europe. Together, these pipelines demonstrate Azerbaijan's growing role in European energy security, offering an alternative to Russian gas supplies. Azerbaijan's exports to the European Union, EU, have seen consistent growth, highlighting the country's increasing importance in the EU's energy framework. In 2024, Azerbaijan supplied 2.7 billion cubic meters of natural gas during just the third quarter, contributing around 4% of the EU's total gas imports during that time. From January to September 2024, exports from Azerbaijan to Europe reached 9.4 billion cubic meters, marking an impressive 99.3% increase over the previous year. This growth is largely due to strategic agreements and plans for expansion. One such ambitious goal is the target to increase gas exports to the EU to 20 billion cubic meters per year by 2027. These efforts are part of a broader European strategy to enhance energy security and reduce dependency on other suppliers, especially in light of geopolitical tensions with Russia. In addition to the overarching EU agreements, Azerbaijan has forged key partnerships with individual EU nations. A notable deal with Serbia in 2023 allows the country to purchase up to 400 million cubic meters of natural gas annually starting in 2024. This agreement provides Serbia with a critical alternative to Russian gas. Similarly, Bulgaria has become an important recipient of Azerbaijani gas through the TAP pipeline's direct delivery from Greece. These partnerships are reinforcing Azerbaijan's position as a regional energy hub, serving as a crucial supplier to Eastern European countries that are highly dependent on gas imports. As Europe faces increasing energy challenges, other suppliers like Qatar have also played a significant role. However, tensions are emerging between Qatar and the EU regarding the Corporate Sustainability Due Diligence Directive, which requires companies to track their supply chains for human rights and environmental compliance. Non-compliance could result in penalties of up to 5% of global turnover. Qatar has raised concerns about how these regulations could hurt its energy exports. The country's energy minister Saad Alabi stated that these measures could force Qatar to halt LNG exports to the EU altogether, stating, "If I lose 5% of my revenue by supplying Europe, I will stop supplying. I'm not bluffing." FICO has also reached out to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, urging him to reinstate critical transit agreements, pointing out the financial strain this disruption places on Slovakia. In a show of force, FICO threatened potential retaliatory actions, including suspending emergency power supplies to Ukraine, blocking EU aid for Ukraine, and even revoking benefits for Ukrainian refugees residing in Slovakia. These bold moves underline Slovakia's urgent need to stabilize its energy situation amid rising costs and regional instability, exploring alternative solutions amidst rising tensions. In response to the gas supply shortage, Slovakia's leading gas utility, SP, is exploring potential swap agreements with Azerbaijan. Under this arrangement, an Azerbaijani company would buy Russian gas and redirect equivalent volumes to European markets. However, Ukrainian opposition to these indirect deals remains strong, as Kyiv fears that such arrangements could inadvertently fund Russia amid the ongoing war. The economic ramifications of these disruptions are far-reaching. Many Central European countries, despite efforts to diversify their energy sources, still heavily rely on Russian gas. The halt of Ukrainian gas transit is expected to further escalate energy costs across the region. Slovakia alone is forecasting an additional $90 million in annual expenses to secure alternative supply routes. A particularly harsh winter could expose even deeper vulnerabilities within the EU's energy framework. The broader economic and geopolitical impact. The ripple effect of these energy disruptions is felt in every corner of the EU. Rising energy prices are set to strain household budgets, reduce disposable income, and curb industrial output, exacerbating inflationary pressures and potentially stalling economic recovery efforts. In a broader geopolitical context, the EU's reliance on external energy sources, particularly from Russia, is in sharp contrast to Russia's success in redirecting energy exports to Asia. By 2023, China and India together accounted for 78% of Russia's crude oil exports, a significant increase from just 32% in 2021. This shift in Russian exports has allowed Moscow to weather Western sanctions, as countries like India and China increasingly step in to replace Russian supplies to Europe. For example, India's refined oil exports to the EU have tripled between 2021 and 2023, making it a key player in supplying diesel and other products to Europe. U.S. energy exports, and President Trump's ultimatum. In the midst of these energy challenges, President-elect Donald Trump has issued a stark ultimatum to the European Union. He demands that Europe significantly boost its imports of American liquefied natural gas, LNG, and oil. Failure to meet these demands, Trump warns, could lead to heavy tariffs on European exports, particularly automobiles and machinery. This demand is part of his broader effort to address trade imbalances and strengthen the U.S. energy sector. The EU has already become a key importer of U.S. LNG, with the United States supplying 46% of Europe's LNG imports in the first half of 2024, up from just 30% in 2021. While the increase in U.S. energy exports is notable, Trump's aggressive stance risks souring transatlantic trade relations. Furthermore, the EU's ability to influence individual countries' energy procurement decisions remains limited, as energy sourcing is primarily handled by private companies. Navigating the energy crisis in Europe. The European Union now finds itself grappling with a complex and rapidly escalating energy crisis. The suspension of Azerbaijani gas supplies due to technical issues at the Shah Deniz gas field has further strained the EU's already delicate energy infrastructure. Countries like Serbia and Bulgaria, which rely on Azerbaijani gas, are now facing acute shortages. Adding to the crisis is the exceptional winter weather sweeping across Europe. The surge in heating demand, coupled with adverse conditions that have curtailed wind and solar energy production, has put immense pressure on the continent's energy reserves. With renewable sources unable to meet the growing demand, the EU's energy system is under significant strain. Future solutions and the road ahead. Looking ahead, the EU faces a critical choice. Immediate action is necessary to shield consumers from soaring energy prices, while long-term strategies must focus on building a more resilient and diversified energy network. This could involve ramping up investments in renewable energy, improving energy storage capabilities, and strengthening partnerships with alternative suppliers. Moreover, increased coordination among EU member states will be crucial for sharing resources and managing this crisis collectively. As Europe braces for what is shaping up to be a harsh winter, the EU's response will determine not only its energy future, but also its ability to shield citizens from the broader economic and social impacts of the crisis. Conclusion. A moment of critical decision. In conclusion, the current energy crisis facing the European Union is a complex web of political, economic, and environmental challenges. The EU's leaders must act decisively to address immediate shortages while laying the groundwork for a more secure and sustainable energy future. Their ability to navigate this multifaceted crisis will define the region's economic trajectory and geopolitical standing in the years to come. If you found this analysis useful, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell to stay updated on the latest content. We've also handpicked some videos that you might find interesting. Check them out on the screen now. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in our next video.